right, we will call tonight's meeting to order for Tuesday, April 2nd. And as we start out every school meeting, we'll read the mission statement. Norfolk Public Schools offers a safe, joyful, and challenging learning environment that meets the needs of our diverse students. Through school, family, and community partnerships, we provide an education that inspires lifelong learners and cultivates caring and productive citizens of our ever-changing world. Roll call, please.
John Wynn.
Medora Champagne.
Jeff Curry.
Paul Cochran.
Thomas Doyle.
Ingrid Alardi.
All right, then. Public comment. Moving on. We do have one GIF to vote on, and that is a rather large one this evening. So we have 5 gifts totaling $2,615.29. Breaking that down, that's the NCL Charity Fund of $135. This is for the NCL Santa Breakfast. Then we have Norfolk PTO doing the next 4 of varying amounts to Freeman for the Coin Wars for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And that varies from $844 for 3rd grade, $577 in 4th grade, $610 in 5th grade, and $447 in 6th grade. 6th grade didn't really hold up their end of the bargain as compared to the other classes, but we'll let them slide.
Congratulations, 3rd grade.
Yeah, well, very nicely done, 3rd grade. So do we have a motion to accept that gift, again, totaling $2,615.29?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I assume no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So moving on, I just wanted to briefly, I think at least 2 meetings, we had touched on the fact that initially I was involved in the town administrator search, and then Ingrid joined the fund last round. And then as a result of, I don't know if it's just specifically Ingrid's involvement, but we actually did get someone hired. So I think I gave the update last time, but at that point the selectmen had not voted yet, so we couldn't say what was going on. We put forth 3 names to the select board to vote on. I think I mentioned last time, any of them were 100% qualified. They were outstanding, 3 of them, it really was. And in the long run, it worked out, and this isn't a slight to the folks we went through with the first round. It's just the net quality, if you will, improved, and these 3 were fantastic. So I understand it was a very tough decision, but Blythe Robinson is starting with us, and she'll be the town manager, or town administrator, excuse me. She's going to be very, very good. She has a really varied background. So she comes most recently from Wellesley, so obviously that's far different from this town. But then she's in Upton, I believe it was before then. Yeah, she's a town manager in Upton before then. So more of a similar type background to here, very wide and varied background that I think will do a lot of good things for us, had a lot of good ideas. Big believer in you need a fresh pair of eyes to look at stuff once in a while, so I think she's not going to come in and shake things up for the sake of shaking things up, but I think she'll also make some changes as needed and provide some good suggestions. And I think we will have, it will be very good for us to have a person like that to work with. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that.
She's going to be starting on April 16th. So.
Good. Yep. So I very much look forward to that. So then moving on to Ingrid's portion of the evening.
Okay, the first thing you have in your packet, when last month we did the public hearing on the budget, we talked a little bit about the technology budget, and I had mentioned at the time that we know over time that our technology replacement current budget line won't continue to meet the needs as we move forward. So we have asked the technology department to do a full inventory of all of our equipment and to develop a 5-year budget projection. And what they've done that, it's in your packet. What they looked at is the age and life expectancies of every device that we have and what our plan is for replacement. So you can see exactly by year what we are expecting to need to replace. Year 1, there's iPad replacements that we need to update. We have to switch server room renovation, arrow hives that support our Wi-Fi, iPad cart, surveillance cameras, some of those at HOD are aging out, Chromebook carts, and smart boards and projectors. Year 2, I think if you just look around, you can see what equipment we're expecting to need to replace. At the bottom, you can see by year what the anticipated cost is for those tech replacements. And that does include projections for, I think they did 3% for inflation. The current budget for tech replacement is about $40,000, Todd, is that correct? So you can see year 1, which would be next year, we're expecting the cost of the technology replacement to be closer to $142,000. Year 2 is $158,000. Year 3, $181,000. Year 4, $144,000, and year 5, $119,000. And you can see they also included a chart to show where those replacement needs are, whether it's district, H. Olive Day, or FK. I have had some conversations with the current interim town administrator. They're part of a community partnership program, and there is some grant funding that may be available for technology, which we will explore and continue to pursue. But we need to be thinking about the operating budget absorbing some of these costs as we move forward. Any questions or?
Do we get any money back for used technology? So those iPads to be a little bit?
So yes, last month you approved the tech department selling back some equipment, and so we will get a credit for that based on what the current value is. So the laptops, I don't remember what the total price was, but it was like $14,000, $15,000 that we're going to get back to. It's certainly not a large amount, but it would offset some of those costs.
And if we do some expansion for classes,
that would have
that would be separate.
Yes, so when we talked about the design study we had done for Freeman Kennedy, there is, I think it was about an estimate of about $12 million for the construction, and then they said that we should budget an additional, what was it, 20%, 3,500. I think the total cost came in at about $16,000, and that was for furniture and technology for the startup costs. Is that accurate, Todd? Yeah.
Thank you.
Surprised that's not more.
Yeah.
16,000.
That was their estimate at the time, and they did say if the further you delay the project out, those costs could certainly increase. But I think they said it was about 25% of the total project budget is the estimate for furniture costs and technology, and the cost was $12,000, so it was came in about 16.
The color wheel at the top of that page?
Yep.
Is that the different shades by year? Is that based on price?
I would have to ask the tech department. I'm not sure. I think it's by item. So if you see in year 1 on the left.
Like a quantity?
Yes.
Just curious. Thanks.
So it was 3% inflation we use each year going forward, other than the year 1, which would have been today's dollars?
Yes, that's how they did it.
What is the, the life expectancy, so what we're replacing in year 1? How long is that going to last? Or does
Well, it depends. All the different
spinning
pieces of equipment have a different life expectancy. So most of our smart boards we're looking at about 10 years before they fade. The security cameras are a little bit less than that. I think it's about 8 years on the surveillance cameras, Matt.
Okay.
So each item has a different life expectancy.
So it's not
Our
like a
laptop
lockstep
replacement's a
expectation
7-year
of
cycle.
Year 6, we go back and replace everything. It's going to age out differently.
Right. They're going to age out at different times.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, essentially.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it's an annual operating cost that we need to consider. Any other questions? So this will be we'll go on to the budget subcommittee for next year, but we wanted the full committee to have a sense of what's coming. The next thing that I have is the quarterly bullying report. That's by policy. I provide the committee with an update. This quarter, there were 3 discipline issues or reports regarding bullying behavior at the H. Olive Day. Again, we have a formal policy for how we investigate and respond to bullying situations, so they were all investigated according to district policy. At the lower level, the 3 incidents really were more inappropriate behavior, one-time conflicts between students, and they were handled accordingly. at the Freeman Kennedy. There were 2 bullying discipline issues, reports regarding bullying. They were both investigated again, and neither were determined to meet the criteria for bullying at this time. Any questions on that?
Very good, thank you.
The third item I had for you is, we've talked over the past couple of years, we have established a Tri-Town Special Education Joint Steering Committee. We've been working very closely with Rentham, Plainville, Norfolk Elementary, and with King Philip, and have used the Walker Report as a starting point. And we've also worked on developing some common shared goals. So we had a retreat in the fall with all the special ed directors, superintendents, and team chairs from all of those districts. We worked on developing a common definition of what free and appropriate public education should look like and what the least restrictive environment should be. So we have now a shared definition and philosophy. We wrote a shared vision statement for special education. We also identified 2 primary goals that we have been working on, and this is just an update of our progress towards those goals. So the first goal was really about aligning our special education programs vertically and horizontally, and to develop a better plan for transition and long-term planning. So we have worked, when we talk about horizontally, we want to make sure that the services we're providing at each of the 3 feeder elementary schools are similar, that we're using similar curriculum, and that we're preparing kids to seamlessly transition into the middle school. So the 3 elementary directors worked and have developed program descriptions, identifying the continuum of services for all 3 elementary districts. We've also reviewed and updated the transition process for students leaving 6th grade, entering 7th grade. The special education directors are meeting quarterly. They're discussing common issues, they're collaborating, aligning resources. We have provided a professional development course for all 4 districts with Alan Bloom on how to write a standards referenced IEP so that the format and content of our IEPs are more similar. And we also have worked on developing a comprehensive system for sharing programmatic information that will have budget implications that we keep updated live. So KP has a long-range look for the next 3 years of what students are coming and what the budget parameters are for that. So they've worked on that, and we've got that really in place now. The other goal that we have had is working on selecting compatible social emotional learning curriculum across the districts and also aligning the content of those therapeutic programs. We have been reviewing models at the elementary level to look at our services. We've been collaborating with King Philip. They are developing a new therapeutic program at their middle school so that we will have better vertical continuity for our students that are receiving services through that program. We've hired an outside consultant who has been visiting all of the elementary districts to look at our therapeutic programs and helping KP develop and shape theirs. So that's been great. We have also started to look at whether there's value to maybe sharing services between the elementaries for specialized populations. And we also just submitted a couple of weeks ago, all 4 superintendents worked together and we wrote a almost $300,000 grant to hire social workers and counselors to support the 4 districts and to provide additional therapeutic services. We're hoping to hear on that grant very shortly, but it was a collaborative effort. We've found in all of the districts that because we don't have a hospital locally, we don't have a lot of clinical support locally, that our families that are struggling have difficulty accessing those kinds of supports and services. So we're looking to bring more supports into the district and also to hire one coordinator, a wellness coordinator, to align the health programs across all 4 districts and to set up a process for bringing counseling into the schools. That counseling would be billed to private insurance, but we're trying to get local providers to give priority to students and families and provide some on-site counseling. So those are sort of things that are under the grant, and we're hoping to hear that from that soon, and those would be all shared positions for all 4 districts. So that's where we are in terms of the Special Ed Steering Committee. Any questions on that one?
Excuse me, could you elaborate a little bit on the sharing services among elementary that you were looking?
Yes, so we looked at this year, we have therapeutic programs in all of the elementary schools. Again, KP is building one in the middle school. Those services provide supports for students with social emotional learning disabilities, and we have, with the addition of those programs, been able to keep most of our students in districts. There are very rare occasions at the elementary where we have had to outplace a student who needs more intensive therapeutic counseling and services. We have typically go through BICO. We've looked at whether there would be value next year to one of the districts hosting a more substantially separate intensive therapeutic program. Based on the number of students we have for next year, it's not financially probably worthwhile, but we're going to continue to evaluate that. So if we had a cohort of students that we all have a need to outplace, whether it's a medical need, therapeutic need, we're looking at that annually to determine whether it makes sense to build an in-house program, because there's transportation costs and placement costs, and if we had a cohort large enough, it would make sense to share those services among the 3 elementary districts.
Right, I just think we need to be careful, though, with spacing issues that, that's
Right,
in
and we would look
consideration.
at which district would
Yeah,
host
okay.
based on available space. Yeah. Any other questions on that? All right, great. I am going to turn it over to Matt Hafner, who is here to provide the annual facilities update. Matt Malners, our Assistant Facilities Director, is also here in the audience, so thanks for coming.
It's going to be quick this year.
We should probably sell that, we could buy some technology.
This is part of the technology upgrade.
Say, okay, we
It
get
just
it. We
takes a
need
second.
technology. Okay.
It takes a second to come on.
All right.
We need a new one of these, I guess.
Okay, been a busy year for the facilities, both with the school and shared with the town. We've had a lot of projects going on. One thing we've been working on quite a bit is the H. Olive Day roof project, which we'll talk about a little bit, but my favorite place, Olive Day.
Not sure I believe you.
Some of the things we've done, some highlight is we've continued working on the mechanical, electrical, sewage systems over at the Olive Day. Everything's older and requires a lot of maintenance, but we've done a lot of upgrades with the lighting, trying to save money. Also made some huge differences for the quality of light. If you guys go over to the cafeteria slash NPR slash gym space over there, it's like a whole new facility. It's no longer dungeonish. Great, and it's also reduced our energy consumption by about 3/4 in that space. One of the things that we never think about is the locks are all wearing out, all the handles and everything. So we've been doing a lot of work with the locksmith and some internal work. I've had the guys get some training, so they've been trying to keep everything moving. Again, the HVAC system is old. Been ongoing. It's just kind of like an older car. You're just constantly tinkering, and we're maintaining it. It's all working, but it needs a lot of love. One thing we're trying to do is save the district some cost by redoing some of the furniture, because a lot of the furniture over there is worn out. The Formica and the counters the tops of everything is starting to separate and showing its age. So Mr. Malnerich has been working on providing some samples to the school to see how repairing instead of replacing it will do it. It's pretty neat.
Is he the one that built the cozy corner in that classroom? That's what I was like, I want to.
Mr. Malnerich does everything over there.
He builds everything.
He's my,
I was so impressed with that.
he is amazing.
As far as, I just want to jump in, as far as the library tables that we're replacing, the older furniture is much better quality than what's out there. The tables are heavy, durable, so Matt took the old laminate off, sanded them down, refinished the tops, and it looks really great. So it's not just a financial saving, it's much better quality than what we would be investing in at this point.
How old is the furniture there?
25 years or so.
So, okay, really?
Much better quality than these tables, which need to be replaced at some point soon.
No.
They're attractive, but they're not the same quality,
Yeah.
We've had you wouldn't believe the amount of time on these particular tables.
Yeah, I'll believe it.
We lost boiler 1 this winter, but we got it right back. We did some emergency repairs and kept it without even having to go through insurance. That was exciting. One thing that we did is we installed that whole new underground storage tank, and we had a grace period. One thing we had to do is to become fully compliant with the state, we had a 2-year grace window. We had to come up with a spill plan and all sorts of different DEP regulations, which Matt worked diligently on, and now we're not only have a new tank, but we're 100% model citizen for the state for all of our underground storage capabilities. We try our best. It doesn't seem to ever be successful, but the playfield next to the playground gets used nonstop. My guys have spent more time. We've rented aerators. We're getting so good at it. We're running right on aerators to go faster, and we try, and it just gets used nonstop, so it never really grows well, but we've been trying a lot to keep that field so it doesn't, kids don't come home filthy, muddy, and we're planning on taking it offline again this summer and putting up a barricade or a snow fence around it and letting it grow again. One thing we did is we were able to, with Mr. Dooley, Sean Dooley's help, got a grant last year, and we were hoping to do some improvements on the roof, but we didn't have enough money to do much, so we ordered windows. We were able to incorporate these windows into the entire project. So the windows are actually being delivered next week. It's taken a long time. We ordered them last September. So that will be all happening. We have to store them.
That was helpful too, because MSBA would not cover any glasswork.
Right.
And our roofs have skylights, and the cupolas have windows that were leaking and damaged, so this would be
The seal, like,
included.
if you guys have home windows, the seals after a while, they fail and they get all cloudy in between and moisture. That's the olive days windows. It would have been excluded, so we would have had to rip open the new facade. Like, everything above the roof was supposed to, besides the windows, will be wrapped, new, waterproof. It worked out very well that we had this money and we bought these windows because we could slide it in with the engineering, because it was a lot of things like stars lined up perfectly. So we're going to have nice new, very efficient windows there as well, on top of a very efficient building, which we'll talk about in a minute. The fire alarm, I think I made people nervous with last year. We've done so many repairs.
It's all right, I found out the alarm system isn't working, so that's higher on my priority.
Yes and no. We've done so many repairs over there. She's been stable for months now. I'm
Good job.
thrilled. It's been a lot of money spent, a lot of time and aggravation, but it seems to have kind of smoothed out. So I'm afraid to do anything over there now, but because I don't want to. But it's good.
Good.
We did on the special education office. We put in its own. We did it all in-house too. Put in a heating cooling system, so that way what was happening is the only AC control was in Mrs. Balfour's conference room. So if that was 70 degrees over there, it was Antarctica over in the their office. So we were able to bypass the equipment that was there and put in cooling and heating, but we still use the heating so we can supplement it, though, if they're cool, but made people's life that work all summer long much more comfortable. And we've also been doing, so there's a lot of IEPs and special needs, so we've been putting in window units throughout the building, which isn't just put them in, you have to have electrical feeds and everything, so we've done a lot of that at that school on top of our normal maintenance, but that's just kind of some of the highlights. Here, not as many, but we have had we talked about the energy, the technology. With all this technology, they need to be charged, so we've had to do some additional electrical infrastructure here to accommodate all the carts and copiers that have been moved to make room for carts, and so we've been keeping up with that. Something that's really cool, I noticed that when I was reviewing this, is it's not a cage, it's a cafe. We did the 3M ballistic. We got another grant this year for the school safety. And we put in
the cage was.
I read it and I didn't see it, so I apologize.
I just thought it was slang for like.
Yes, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, the admin, the district admin offices, and door number 2. It's all has the 3M film on there with the incredibly expensive caulking that locks it all in. So we've made the school much more secure in the front. We thought about this area, but we're planning on the addition, so it would be a waste. So we did the areas that had been pointed out to us that would be probable spaces to.
And again, that was based on, several years ago, we had a security audit, and we had an outside consultant come in and make recommendations for what would be our highest priority areas to reinforce, and that was the next on the list. And that was funded by a state grant that was shared between the three elementaries in the King Philip School that Mr. Dooley helped secure. So we were able to take that off the list of items that we needed to do.
Another item that we did, we kept it in-house. We worked with the technology department. We relocated some of the cameras that were here that were kind of redundant. You put them in more opportune spaces, and we also added some spaces, and we did it all in-house, which was really great. One thing that was driving me nuts is we had two light poles in the front parking area that had been ran over or backed in through from a snow contractor from last year. It wasn't from lack of trying. They finally got replaced about a month ago. So we're fully lit outside. Good time. One thing that my guys did, I'm extremely proud of, saved the district a ton, was we stopped the majority of all the leaks in the building that we were having. We diagnosed the issue. The product itself would have been warranted, but it would have cost way too much. I had a quote just to do the district admin area, was $10,000 just to redo that with labor. My guys did the entire perimeter of the building, and it cost us about $10,000. So we saved a lot, and we've solved almost all the leaks. There are a few here and there, but it was a major improvement, and the guys did great work.
Is that part of, I know there was a point a couple months ago where the gym was leaking in a spot.
That was, yes.
Was that a portion of that as well?
Yes. So we, that actually wasn't a capstone. That was coming in from a different location.
Oh, fun.
We're going to be chasing leaks like any building from forever, but the district offices, the front offices, a lot of the classrooms where there's capstones, they were all feeling the back stairwells. The adhesive dried up and the backer rod failed, and which backer rod all is like foam, round foam, and collapsed, and it was getting underneath, and the water was migrating through everywhere. And so we've stopped, I'd say 97% of the leaks we were having. So I was super proud of the guys. They did a lot of work up there.
And tonight's rainstorm will test it, and
yes.
We'll see what it looks like.
One thing with this building is it's all automated for the HVAC. We've been continuing to work on that. It requires quite a bit of maintenance. Having an in-house person and who's licensed to work on it, and we've had, I'm managing it from the town side. We have service agreements in place. We have quarterly maintenance done on it. I've also sent Matt and Eric, the HVAC person, to training, so they're spend a lot of time learning on all the intricacies of the system. We've been doing well with that. Another thing that's a constant battle at this building is that fence around the playground is, well, attractive. It's not a good fit for this type of atmosphere. It's not built for kids to climb on. And while the teachers do a great job while they're here, the gym's always, I mean, that area is always open. So we constantly are fooling with the fence, and we bought a little welder to start welding things back together, and it's helping out a lot in keeping the fence up, because what we would do is wait till a couple sections would be broken, we'd send it out, have it welded, then bring it back. Now we're just fixing it as it goes. Keeps the playground a little bit more secure and saving us some money. And something that everybody was wondering about is the lightning protection on this building is backed up to where it needs to be. One thing with all this technology in a high building with no trees around is it's prone to be hit. There was lightning protection originally designed on it, and over the operating several years, the snow on the metal roof would slide and would pull all the strips that would hold the lightning protection down and start ripping it apart. We had it all repaired back to its original spec, and added a couple of spots where we were shy on lightning protection with the money that we had available. We did not have it recertified, but we have it so it was as per design, original certification. So if we ever took a lightning strike, we should be able to not have too much damage in the building, which is the intent of it. So that's the schools. This year, we've been doing really well. We've applied 3 years in a row, and we've got the grant that's issued to the town. This year, we applied for entrance matting, which one thing we have a lot of are slip and falls with the type of floor, the amount of people, kids going in, just the amount of people coming into the building. We were issued a grant. We did a town-wide and district-wide. Most of it when it came to the schools because of the largest buildings, all new entrance matting. One thing we did is we reorganized the department. We changed, we did a part-time employee of 0.5, and we changed the shift to Saturdays, which we do a lot of building rentals, and we were paying overtime. Now we're not paying overtime on Saturdays, which is helping keep some money in. OSHA has become implemented in government. Matt's been leading the way for making sure that the facilities department in its entirety is staying up with safety training, OSHA requirements, protective PPE. We've been doing a lot of making sure we're where we need to be and have everybody compliant and safety trained. He did a hazard communication program, exposure control plan. We've, again, bought all PPE for everybody, which is personal protective equipment. We've been doing training for them, we're assigning monthly modules of training for staff to just keep up with, and we also save money on our insurance by doing so. One thing that we've been doing, it's hard to do, is painting. Painting, there's never a good time to paint. We've been trying to keep up with the olive day, and that on Sundays we've been having the custodians that are working here paint around this building. And I already said about the OSHA. I'm almost done. MSBA, so have the 100% documents done as of today. I haven't seen them yet. We can't go anywhere unless we have the town vote on it. School closeout from this building was about $900,000 back. Of that, $300,000 was used for the OPM and the designer services, so we're down to $600,000. MSBA is stating that the maximum grant they're going to give us is $1,066,000 and change. They're excluding the entire addition, which is the worst part of the building. The addition made the criteria, the qualifications to be part of the program, and then everybody applied and they changed the criteria, so it is excluded. We fought and fought and fought to try to say, hey, it's a one system. Why they didn't have enough money. So we have to go to town meeting, and we have to vote on the full amount of the project cost, which we just learned about, which makes it a little bit more interesting. The town has to be able to cover the entire project, so we were going to go to the town and ask to use the money returned and up to about $900,000 for the town's portion to cover. Now we just learned that we have to ask for the entire amount, so we're going to have to go and ask for up to $2 million basically at town meeting, but we have no intention of spending $2 million, but we just have to show that we have the capability.
MSBA requirement, correct?
It's an MSBA requirement that we've been trying to get all the voting language done for the town meeting, and that just got sprung because the language we had turned in, they said it was good, but it didn't include the total amount, so now that's going to be interesting. We have a construction deadline with some penalties in it, so we're going to put this out on the 10th, pending spring town meeting funding. So it's going out to bid. We're not going to issue anything until we have the town vote, and we also have a letter from the MSBA stating that they will cover their portion because they can always renege until we have that letter that they're guaranteeing it. So that's going in all the language to. I put it on the central register today. It'll be out. It's going on. It's going to all be bid electronically, which is really neat. They do a spreadsheet of everything. You can see exactly and everybody's qualifications. There's no loss of paperwork, and there's no time. You don't have to worry about anything. It's all done. So it's going out. It's not just putting on new shingles. It's pretty much ripping off the majority of what's there, putting on the areas that have good plywood. They're going to just put on a another layer of plywood with an insulation board in between them, and then do it properly, ice and water, and there will be some areas, that need some additional structural support. There's nothing unstructurally sound about the building, but in order to put on this new, heavier material insulation, it will require in certain areas be beefed up a little bit. We'll never talk about the roof, hopefully, ever again after that, because we're putting a 50-year roof on there, and I don't intend to be here, so I'm hoping it's going to be a nice project, and we're going to do it right with the materials that they've selected. Some of the stuff we wanted to go a little higher quality, like a copper instead of aluminum, but we settled in the middle where the high quality, thicker aluminum instead of going copper, so everything's being done with a first class. We're going to try to do all first class products, but not do the most expensive, but do something that will last. And one thing that, so everybody's aware, we're only going to try to do the front of the building with the pattern that's there. It won't be exactly the same, but it'll look similar, because the rear of the building you don't see anyway. It adds a lot of expense, and it adds a lot of reasons why the roof is failing, because they heat and they're different colors, they expand and contract different rates. So in order to keep the look to the building, it's an alternate, but it's anticipated to be about $17,000, so we're going to try to get the main building so it looks the same from the street, but it'll be a completely different product. It'll look like most houses now with the architectural shingles instead of the 3 tabs. So that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Great.
And the bid, as Matt said, the bid will go out in April. We won't award it until after town meeting, but the intent is to begin construction work the week after, June 24th, the week after we get out, and with substantial completion by mid-August.
August 10th would be the date, and then for substantial, they're figuring it's going to be a 16-week project, which is longer than summer vacation, but the major noise will be done over the summertime. If it's not, there's language in the bid for $1,000 a day. The bid is written very well. The documents are first class, and it's taken a lot of anything that could go wrong. They've tried to capture it in the bid documents, so I feel looking at other bid documents, these are great. So as long as we get a decent contractor, we'll be in good shape. Good.
Great. Great.
Any questions for Matt?
Did you get it on town warrant for sure? It's on town, did they tell you? It's on?
The voting language, yes, it is going to be on town warrant.
Okay.
There is a space for it. The final language is still being worked out with our council and the MSBA. Okay. But yeah, it is. That was one of the first things on.
I was worried it was too late.
No, we've been working on this with the town for a while.
This has been going on for 2 years, but we had to go back, I think it was in January, the selectmen had a vote, which I went to that meeting, language that they would wholeheartedly support it.
Yep.
So, no, it's definitely on.
Okay, great.
Matt, will you just update too on the age holiday alarm system?
Age holiday alarm system. Okay.
Is it just you with a bell? Like, do you just ring the bell or something?
We have a couple of things. Yeah. So
refute the rumors that
Do the
Jen's
doors lock?
the doors lock.
All right.
We have an S2 alarm system. So if the doors are pulled on, it will notify the system. The building does stay locked down. We have video cameras. If anything were to ever happen in there, they will be captured on video. They might not get it right away. The police department goes by there multiple times a night, and there's never been an issue.
Even within the building, every classroom is locked?
Yes, we lock it all down.
Offices
we
are
do
locked.
that for students' privacy
Is there
concerns.
a night custodian? Do they have a night custodian?
We have afternoon custodians that and their shifts around 10, I think.
Oh, that's good.
But the police do plenty of tours. If anything did happen, we would have nice evidence. All the main entries, we have video on it, and one project we did a couple years ago, we did in-house, we'll be able to pick up pretty much anybody, if anybody got in that building. There are several spots in that building which we should have better coverage on, but we should, unless they're super high-end thieves, I think we'll catch them.
Okay.
I've been working
Can we
on.
get the ring? Like, maybe we could just put some ring
I have some
cameras.
lasers.
That's what I'm
They're
saying. We could
like-
like, we could monitor, we could connect it to all our computers.
Yes.
We can go to Home Depot. I'll throw in 20 bucks.
We're also, though, in the process of.
So
Yeah.
we have the amount, we've done research, we have some quotes. I'm waiting on the one last company. Local company does a great job. I have other quotes. As soon as we have, we'll issue it.
Okay.
And I'd like to get it done beginning of summer, because with all the construction that's going on there, I'd like to make sure that it is alarmed. But remember, I said the fire alarm's working great?
Yes.
One of the things that's going to have to happen, though, for a new alarm is they're going to have to disturb everything, which is, kind of makes me nervous. But one of the criteria...
You guys can fix it.
One of the
Don't worry
criteria
about it.
is everything on that alarm will be brand new. Because what happened, the original system aged up, but it also got damaged when they had their structural collapse a few years ago. And then we were chasing our tail because they had...
Issues in different locations.
We tried to repair it. It's been a losing battle. But it will be an entirely brand-new system that would go in there, so there won't be any, well, you guys, we used existing wiring, so that's the problem. It's going to be like, you install it, you own it, we do not want any excuses. So we're spec'd it out, so that's how it's going to happen.
And last month, the committee voted to transfer the funds for the new security alarm system. So the quotes we're getting are within what you allocated last month for that. So we should be all set to go and have that repaired very soon.
Good job.
We got to fall back.
Good job, team.
Any other
I'm very
questions for
impressed.
Matt?
Matt, you may already do this, but number of things you're describing, work that you did in-house and the savings that were then generated by you doing this in-house. Do you capture this, like the amount of like actual money that we're saving by virtue of you and your team's outstanding efforts?
At some day, I will. I've been a little,
I'm just thinking for budget
Busy with
things
the
down the
alarm
road. I mean, we're,
We have some
you
estimates
guys-
that we included in the budget presentation for estimates of what we're saving, but I think it's a good idea to do a formal report.
we have what, $745,000 worth of technology, for example.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what the number is you're saving, but this is year after year, you're doing this.
Yeah.
We need to show that somewhere. I mean, you guys are
Yep.
doing this, and we know you're doing this, but now if we can actually quantify what you're doing beyond that,
Yep.
beyond that, like, oh, this is awesome.
The HVAC position that we shared with the town in the past, that saved us a lot. We did the whole refrigerator unit at the H Olive Day in-house.
our walk-ins, we saved at least $40,000.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the capstone project you're saying, you said it was
Oh, we
10,000
saved-
just for there, you did the whole building, same amount of money,
Honestly, we
so.
probably saved $75,000 doing that.
And then there's other examples. Now, I know some of it's small captures in terms of what you did and like putting, but that's a lot.
It is, and we
I think
could
definitely need to
itemize
grab
that in our
stuff.
budget presentation to show the town how we're saving funding. And another area we've
Todd's
saved a
ready to
lot of funding in, is Matt's favorite, is the septic and plumbing that we've been doing in-house.
Yes, I, last year decided,
Yeah, make sure you lead off of that.
I have a-
Go with the sexy.
I do have a bit of a tool
in
issue.
with
I
your
like
sleeve.
tools, and I like having tools so we can do everything. One of the things that we bought was
Where are those
this
going?
beautiful industrial sewer cleaning machine, drain cleaner. My guys still look at me funny when why did you do that to us? We are very proficient in cleaning drains. We save a fortune because we were calling in people a couple times a month at $600-700 a whack. We haven't had to call anybody in since we've had the machine. The machine costs, they split it between the town and school, so it was like $1,500 investment for each of them, so it
So
paid for
two visits
Great.
paid for
two
itself.
visits, and we've probably used the thing 20 times already.
That's
So that's what I'm
part of
saying, all that
the
stuff we start
high-efficiency,
adding up, I
low
mean,
water
just-
use system that we've had here, because it's a green building, and they have had to, just last week, they had to have the toilet I
No,
came
when
in was in
when
the
your guys
hallway,
go home,
and
they're
they
really
had
good
it all
at it
fixed.
early, because you work late and you get stuck doing it yourself and going,
And
why
then
did
it
I want to go
backs
early?
up,
Yeah, that was
right?
Friday. Yeah, that was last Friday. Yes, we had the.
Backs up and smells. 'cause,
Oh, it
right,
backs up and
yeah,
makes a mess,
I
and
know,
it
I've
becomes
seen
a
it at
hazard for
my
the-
school,
yeah,
yes,
we,
I've seen it at my
But
school.
I do think that's a great idea to capture some of these savings, because we do try every year to show the town in our budget process where we're being responsible and how we're generating savings to offset increases.
Well, just,
so.
we're going to have some big asks going
Right.
forward, so if we can sort of say, well, we've already essentially funded these in some ways by
Yes.
virtue of the savings that have been generated,
Yep.
also on the town level, okay, that makes it a little easier to ask for that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's, one thing we have been doing, and I haven't talked about it lately, is the facilities do it, and we capture a lot of it. We don't capture everything that we do. To quantify it will be, I will do my best.
I'm not trying to add more work to you, but
No.
but if you could do more work, that'd be great.
No.
But even like bullet points with just,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Sure.
you know, when you do the
Estimated
home
cost.
improvement, you just
The-
keep track of it.
The good thing is, well, we do the same function at the town, so I'm the unusual department. So I think town-wide people are seeing what we're doing, and we're doing a lot with a little, in my opinion, and I'm very proud of the guys. And Matt
Should
my
be.
proudest, but all the guys, the custodians, and they're, I continue to ask them to do more with less, and they continue to rise, and I'm very
The
fortunate.
lights were out at the office here the other day for parent-teacher conferences.
Yes.
I assume that got fixed quick, so we won't go down that road. But I was laughing, and I don't know who he is, one of the guys, he ended up playing like greeter for the parents. He was like, yeah, come on in, the lights are out, you have to sign here, and he's kind of just had a good time with it. It was kind of nice to see.
Yeah.
I told you last year, we
That's who it was.
everything's automated, everything's wearing out, the valves and everything, so of course, the night when a lot of parents were here, that's what happened, is the module that picked up the motion died, and then it
Yeah.
wouldn't pick up anything, but yes, it's, I'm very lucky, both schools, the guys, my town employees were.
No, it was just
great
kind of
to-
funny. I mean, they had some fun with it, and the parents were fun with it, but it was nice to see, so, for whatever that's worth.
But this summer, we're already planning on, I have been experimenting with different products to see if we like one better than the other, and always trying to figure it out. And we did a comparison against the olive data this school, and the products I used here, I'm not satisfied with, so we're gonna go back. And then my gym floor, I told you guys last year that I wasn't satisfied with that. We have a new product coming in for that, and we're also getting training for that, and we're constantly trying to figure out the best product and the most efficient, so put a lot of hours into trying to do our best, so.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Insures all the equipment.
Is most of our equipment insured? I don't know that it is.
As far
There's
as what kind of-
warranties on most of it.
Theft, so we have a personal liability product, it's a $5,000 deductible, so if it goes over that, we'll put a claim in. It's under our Maya
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a commercial effects,
Yep.
probably.
And then most of the products we bought also have warranties for certain periods of time.
Short period of time, I
Sure,
would guess.
Yeah.
You guys
but
can fix anything, right?
we try.
You can't fix stolen, though, so that was a good question.
But, and as you guys all saw, we have the new police station, so that was something we were heavily involved with as well, so we'll have even greater capabilities with the systems. We've tried making the similar systems over there as here, and for security, and they'll be able to see everything going on with cameras if need be and everything, so it's pretty neat. So we're gonna have even more secure facilities, I guess. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
And Matt.
Matt?
So town carries that policy, then?
Yeah, the Maya, sorry, I didn't get your question.
That's all right.
Yep. Our
Yeah, we
next
don't have to have any of our policies.
item on the agenda is the quarterly budget
don't have
update.
any.
So Todd Hassett is here to share an update of where we are in the budget.
Good evening. Tough act to follow.
Song for a minute.
So this evening, I just want to update the committee on how we're doing through the third quarter, through the end of March, or 7 months into our 10-month school year. And I have the wrong slides up. So let's see. That was last year's third quarter.
Yeah, that's a heck of a budget increase to 20
Yeah.
then. Whoops.
Okay, here we are. So, through last week. So again, just to recap, more so probably for our audience at home. Our budget approved by the town was just over $12.25 million. The pie just illustrates how the committee has allocated these resources, the largest part for direct instructional services, and going around the pie, other services, operations and technology, equipment, out-of-district tuitions, and district administration. So the lion's share of our resources, over 79% are dedicated to direct instructional services to our students. And so for each of these wedges, I've just got a slide to summarize how we're doing and where we might be doing well or not so well. in each of the functional areas in accordance with your budget policy. District admin, which represents about 4% of our budget, at this time I'm anticipating a little better than a $12,000 savings. This is all accounted to our lack of need to use counsel this year. So we have multiple needs some years in terms of legal services. This year, to date, has been gone very well. And even at this juncture, by year end, we might have a slightly more savings than I'm projecting at this time. Instructional services, again, 79% of our operating budget. And of course, this is where we focus as much as we can in terms of our purchasing and staffing. At this point, I'm essentially anticipating we're going to expend everything that's allocated to this area. I do note, and you talked about it a little earlier tonight, our longer term, or some of its short term instructional technology needs. So if we do have any savings, that would be one area we would look to toward year end to possibly put toward starting to deal with the replacement schedule that's more daunting than what our resources allow.
It's better than we were 3 months ago last quarter. I thought this number looked slightly worse last quarter.
I think you're right, Thomas. I think we were a little, maybe slightly underwater. We've done well with substitutes so far this year.
Okay.
That's been favorable. And also, the committee did transfer some funds in here, but we're putting that all into new smart boards at the day school. So that's more technology-based. And we've had a couple of changes in staffing that have resulted in savings. But it's still fairly tight. There are possibly some opportunities in the materials and supply area. But we'll see how that plays out as we get closer to year end. Other student services, this again is our, the lion's share of this cost relates to our transportation of students, mostly in district and some out of district. Health and nursing services. Food service, we've in recent years not had to subsidize. It's been funded through the fees for student meals. And at this point, we've got a small savings we're anticipating in special education transportation. And that's what's yielding about a $7,700 projected savings at this point. That might grow just a little bit. And certainly if we do have savings in this area, one of the things we'd look to maybe do toward year end is start to look at our food service equipment. We've got a pretty good list, which maybe you've seen, of equipment that's aged out and needs either major repair or replacement. So that's one thing.
I think a 5-year plan for that too, a long-range plan for that.
Yes, you're right. The 4000 series operations and maintenance now more fully includes a lot of our technology support, whereas previously it was scattered in a couple of other functional areas. This is a change that the State Department of Ed has asked us to do, all districts. So at this time, I'm projecting about a $5,000 shortfall. This relates to a couple of things. We did have a firewall that had to be replaced for about $17,000 that was unanticipated. We've also had higher than budgeted expense around heating for both buildings. Natural gas here and oil over at the day school. So I'm anticipating we're going to go over each budget line in each building this year due to the cold winter we've had. So this is an area where we're closely monitoring. I'm working with Matt Hafner on pending projects and needed repairs. We're just being cautious about how we go through the balance of the year so that we get this number under negative 5,000. stay
This may have
within.
been a question for Matt, but do we have a sense, or do we have any guess with the new roof and the windows at HOD? Is there an actual savings we think we're going to realize in terms of heating next year?
Oh, I certainly
Yeah.
think so,
substantial?
given the, I don't know the specifics.
I don't know how
but with all the
substantial.
insulation that's being replaced.
In addition
and
to
added.
the installation too, part of the MSBA project is they recommission all the systems, so.
Oh, that's nice, 'cause they
we
haven't been
think with
recommissioned.
both of those things that we should see some energy savings next year.
Because we're behind on recommissioning those.
We delayed that because we had so much heat loss.
Right, right.
That it didn't make sense, but once the new insulation and roof is in, yes, that'll be part of the project.
And just to remind the committee, in terms of next year's budget, the heating fuel has been transferred to the
Right,
townwide
with the
facilities
moving out.
budget.
Right.
So if there are savings, it will be yielded in the
On the town
townwide
side.
facilities.
Unless there's a lot of it, then we should take it back.
There you go, there you go.
So, just so I understand, so the boilers will be replaced as part of this as well?
No,
No.
No, they're recommissioning all the HVAC systems and balancing the systems so
Okay.
that they're more efficient and the heat temperatures are more consistent throughout the building and all of that. The- The two boilers are both 25 years old. They're aging. I have reached out, the state, we've gotten a state earmark grant for the last couple of years. Representative Dooley has supported us, and the boilers are one of the projects they're looking at.
Okay.
So
So recommissioning is.
recommissioning is separate from that, but yeah, that's in the scope of work for the roof project.
All right, that'd be fantastic.
But I think the boiler, Matt has put an estimate on the boiler replacement, right?
Yeah, 250,000.
$250,000, so it's, yeah. Fixed charges, this is really contractual obligations or other sorts of insurance programs. Here, it's really buyback of unused sick leave, any contractual buybacks upon retirement for staff, and a contractual annuity contribution. At this time, I'm including a projection for up to 3 anticipated retirements. These are staff that have noticed us that they have a intent of possibly retiring. So it's likely at year end, none of this comes to fruition. And we may have, more savings in this area, which may be an opportunity to ask the committee to put, do some more smart boards or some other project, but we need to come back to the committee.
And the way the teacher's contract is written is if people anticipate a possibility of retiring, they have to notice us, so we budget accordingly.
Right.
At the same time, we have 3 letters of potential, but we're not really anticipating that those are going to end up being 3 retirements.
When is the date that you need a firm yes or
The
no?
contract does not require a set date for notice. Typically, if people are retiring, we do know around April or May because we're supporting working with the retirement board and getting all the paperwork in. And most people will give us but there's no set date.
But even so, if it's this fiscal year or next fiscal year, we're going to still
Right.
see it.
At some point.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yep. Nothing in terms of new or acquisition of new equipment. And then out-of-district tuition, these are students that we're not able to service here in district that could be placed at an in-state school, private school, or collaborative like BICO, and in rare cases, residential placement, which we do not have any of. And at this time, I'm anticipating about an $84,000 savings in this line. And this relates directly to the placeholder that we put in, that we had negotiated with the town's advisory finance committee. In the event we had an outplacement occur after the budget was set. And our commitment to the town was if we didn't need it for this purpose, we would turn it back unused to the town at year end. In the budget we're proposing for next year, we have 1 placeholder for a collaborative placement. So it's at about 51,000 as opposed to 85,000,
Right.
just for
Right, our placeholder was a private placeholder this year. We had a student that we anticipated may
Yes.
need it, which is why we budgeted a private placeholder.
Right.
But we were able to maintain the student in district, so we will be returning that.
That's how they use it.
So in summary, at this point, I anticipate there'll be about $110,000 of unused, most of which relates to the $85,000 placeholder for out-of-district tuition. We've got modest savings in some of the areas, and as we get closer to year end, if there are opportunities to do some purchasing or take care of some technology needs, we'll do that as we get closer and are more sure of what the final numbers look at. So at this point, we're hovering at 99.1% of budget, and this is pretty much where we seem to be, just under 1% of excess, if you will, and in recent years, the excess has been related to this placeholder agreement we've had with the advisory committee. We also have special funds, as you know, self-supporting fee-based programs for the lunch program, preschool tuition, our SAC, before and after school program, modest facility rental funds that we're able to put, that Matt's able to put back into the facilities. Our grants are the typical allocation entitlement grants. As Ingrid mentioned, in the last 2 years, we've been fortunate enough to get state and earmark grants, which have helped us with the day school in particular, around security and the windows that are related to the upcoming roof project. And as always, this is just a summary for the committee that I know you like to see in terms of the gifts. You did accept a few gifts earlier tonight. That's included in the donations to date number. So we started the year with about $32,000 in the fund. We've received, the committee's accepted $21,000 this year, of which just over $20,000 has been expended, and there are some other purchases in the queue, leaving us a balance of, at the end of March, of just over $33,000. And with that, I'd entertain any questions or concerns you might have.
Any questions for Todd?
Pam, it's my kids.
Oh, okay.
He's not here, just letting them hang out. It's okay, they're mine.
Got an ID?
Just safe haven, trapping the kids.
Oh, and I guess I should say, last week we did have a very favorable meeting with the town's advisory committee discussing our budget request that the committee's approved for next year's budget.
Yes, so that was good.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions for Todd? Great. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have for tonight, so on to reports.
Moving on to the King Philip report.
So we met yesterday, and I would say the main topic of discussion was the changes in the middle school, where they will be moving to a co-teaching model and moving away from the traditional leveling model. They'll continue leveling for mathematics, but they'll have a co-teaching for ELA, science, and history. And that'll be more in line with what the elementary schools do in all three towns, and that's as a result of the Walker reports. I don't know if Ingrid would like to add anything.
I think another thing that they used to have multiple levels for ELA, and the intent is to have one level for everybody and bring in support so that students that may have been in a lower level class can access a higher level curriculum with additional support. So that's what they're working on doing, and that's what the co-teaching. So you'll have 2 teachers in a classroom, and kids can get differentiated instruction and support to meet the academic standards.
This is as of next year, this would go into play?
In the middle school.
Okay.
And they are sending some additional communicate. They're going to go over it at their open house for entering 7th grade parents, which is tomorrow night. No, it's
I think it's a week
Thursday
from,
night.
a week from tomorrow.
The
night.
11th of April.
A week from Thursday night. sorry.
Okay, yep, you're right. So a week from Thursday, April 11th, and they're going to go over that. And they're also sending out a letter to parents of 6th graders entering 7th grade, an explanation of the changes to the leveling.
So does this impact their teaching staff numbers?
Their budget,
Or their
yes, their
classroom
budget
size?
request does include, no, it includes the staff. So their budget request, they're asking for additional teachers to support the co-teaching model. So, but the budget request, they also found about 800,000 in savings from students that are aging out, and they've reallocated that money. The total budget request that they have is coming in around 3.5.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, as an overall increase. And that includes the additional teaching positions. The Walker report had suggested that they had a lot of parallel teaching going on, so students were being pulled out for support services and having the same instruction that the kids in the general class were having, so there was redundancy. So the intent is to bring kids back into the general classroom and support that.
And then didn't talk so much about this last night, but there'll also be some changes to the language programs where I think they're going to have, this I can't remember as much, but I think they have an additional language instructor that was budgeted so that they'll have some more programming that's available. It's going to be on a rotating basis, but it also will, in essence, be leveraged to meet some of the ELL needs. So that's it from KP.
All right, thank you. Policy, looks like we have a first reading on something.
Yep. There's a first reading on the crowdfunding policy. And it's got online fundraising. Do you want me to speak to that, Jeff?
Yeah, that'd be great, please.
So the committee looked at language from MASC to guide our direction in identifying the crowdfunding policy. The concerns that the committee had were bifold, I guess. The first is that we were concerned about individual teachers or parent groups setting up crowdfunding for educational resources and materials that wouldn't necessarily be equitably shared throughout the district. So the committee did some research, reached out to legal counsel, and decided that we do not want to permit individual fundraising, that kind of fundraising for educational materials should go through the PTO or NCL or grant funding and through a process that ensures that it's equitable throughout the district. And school committee approves those fundraising projects. So the policy does not allow for that. It also cautions parents and staff members about crowdfunding for non-educational resources, because our school employees are subject to the conflict of interest law. So crowdfunding that would be set up for personal needs, they are still subject to the prohibitions of not accepting donations that exceed the conflict of interest guidelines. So it just reminds people about those responsibilities in managing those online fundraising accounts. I don't think there's anything else really to that policy. So.
All right, so we'll have.
It has been reviewed by council.
2 more readings on that one?
Yep.
Okay. So moving on, we have 2 school partner renewals, first of which is the KP Music Association. Let me get to that. So said their partner renewal. I think everyone is very familiar with the Music Association, but obviously their outstanding work is well known. So do we have a motion to accept their partnership renewal request?
I'll make a motion to accept the KP Music Association partner request.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Assuming no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And then And moving on to our friends at Norfolk Rec, who also would like to stay partners with us, yay. So do we have a motion to accept Norfolk Rec school partner renewal?
I'll move to accept the Norfolk Recreation School Partnership renewal.
Okay, second on that?
I'll second.
No further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
I did want to just mention with the rec department, they have been really good partners this year. We have reached out to rec based on some concerns parents had about providing alternative childcare arrangements and activities on days when school's closing. And the rec department has run events on non-school days,
Nice.
And they've been fully enrolled. They're also running 2 Welcome to Kindergarten programs this summer. Both are already fully, the registration is closed for both of those. They're looking to add an additional session. And they're continuing to work with us on looking at next year's calendar and offering activities for students on days that we have early release or no school days.
It's great.
Yeah, the vacation week programs have been really nice.
Yes, they've been trying to really, because there's a need in town, and we've
Oh, for
heard from
sure,
parents,
yeah.
there's not a lot of other programs or options around, so.
All right.
2 sets of minutes.
And then we have, wait, 2 sets of minutes. Let's see, March 12th.
You have the public hearing minutes, and then you have the meeting
Oh, right,
minutes.
double minutes, I forgot about that. So we have 2 sets of minutes from March 12th, so first we need a motion to accept the budget hearing minutes, and then keep the excitement going. We'll need a second set, or we'll need a motion for the actual regular meeting also on March 12th. So do we have a motion for the budget hearing minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the budget hearing minutes from March
Second.
12th.
Second?
Assuming no further discussion,
I have
all in favor?
I have one question.
Oh, give you a chance.
The minutes say $12,752,837. The budget presentation is $12,753,000.
Okay, that's just a typo, we'll correct that, thank you.
$1,000 here and there, you know.
Good catch.
You should be on the budget subcommittee, that's a good job. All right, so all in favor on that one?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then second motion on the actual regular meeting also for March 12th. Do we have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the March 12th, 2019 meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? No as noted by Paul. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we are scheduled for May 21st, excuse me, for our next meeting. Does that work for everybody?
May what?
May 21st?
21st?
The May
yes.
meeting is usually the 3rd Tuesday, because the second Tuesday is
meeting.
town meeting.
Right. Okay,
And we
yes.
have the warrant article and the
That's
budget on that.
Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
I think so.
Outstanding. All right. Assuming nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.